cheated on and stuck. How do I even start healing? The phone was face down on the granite countertop. Sarah never did that. Always face up, notifications popping like a nervous pulse. I was grabbing a beer from the fridge, mentally reviewing the site plans for the new library project when I saw it. A little nudge. Curiosity, or maybe something darker, made me flip it over. A string of texts. Can't stop thinking about last night. Lunch tomorrow, same place. Missing you already. The sender's name was David K. My blood ran cold. David K. from her work. David, who always seemed a little too friendly at the summer barbecue. David, whose wife I vaguely remembered being pregnant. My first reaction wasn't rage, it was disbelief, like a glitch in the Matrix. This couldn't be happening, not to us. We were Sarah and Liam, the golden couple. 5 years married, a house in the suburbs, matching Le Creuset cookware. We were supposed to be building a life, not tearing one down. I walked into the living room, beer forgotten on the counter. Sarah was grading papers, her brow furrowed in concentration. She looked up, a smile flickering across her face. Hey honey, long day. The words tasted like ash in my mouth. Who's David K? Her smile vanished. She went pale, a subtle tremor in her hands. What do you mean? I held up her phone. She didn't reach for it. She didn't deny it. The silence was deafening. Sarah. My voice was a strained whisper. Tell me. The truth came out in a torrent of tears and broken sentences. A few stolen lunches, a late night at the office, a connection she couldn't explain. It had been going on for 3 months. 3 months of lies, betrayal, and me, completely oblivious, designing our dream extension. I didn't yell. I didn't scream. I just stared at her, the woman I loved, the woman I thought I knew, as she confessed to shattering everything we had built. I'm so sorry, Liam, she sobbed. I never meant for it to happen. But it did, didn't it? I managed, my voice flat. You meant for it to happen. I packed a bag that night, didn't say much, just the essentials. A few changes of clothes, my laptop, the worn copy of the Fountainhead I always carried with me. As I walked out the door, I saw her standing in the hallway, a ghost in the dim light. Where are you going? She asked, her voice barely audible. Away, I said. Away from you. Away from this. Mark's apartment was a disaster zone. Empty pizza boxes, stacks of unread programming magazines, a faint smell of stale coffee and desperation. It was perfect. Dude, he said, opening the door, his eyes widening as he took in my haggard appearance. What the hell happened? I told him. The texts, the confession, the walkout. He listened in silence, occasionally punctuating my story with a low whistle or a curse. I'm so sorry, man, he said when I was finished, clapping me on the back. That's brutal. He offered me a beer, which I gratefully accepted. We sat in silence for a while, the only sound the hum of the refrigerator. What are you going to do? He asked finally. I don't know, I said, running a hand through my hair. I feel like my whole life just exploded. Mark, ever the pragmatist, started ticking off a list. Lawyer, finances, divorce. He made it sound so simple, so clinical. But this wasn't a bug in a software program. This was my life. Chloe arrived the next day, a whirlwind of vibrant colors and comforting hugs. She smelled of turpentine and freedom, a stark contrast to the sterile environment of Mark's apartment. Tell me everything, she demanded, pulling me down onto her paint-splattered sofa. I told her again, the words now worn and rehearsed. She listened with a fierce protectiveness in her eyes. That bitch, she said, her voice low and dangerous. I'm going to kill her. I managed a weak smile. Don't do that. I don't need a murder charge on top of everything else. Chloe spent the next few days hovering, making sure I ate, dragging me out for walks in the park, forcing me to talk. She didn't offer platitudes or empty reassurances. She just listened, held my hand, and let me cry. The lawyer's office was as depressing as I expected. Beige walls, uncomfortable chairs, and the faint scent of desperation. The lawyer, a woman named MS Davies, was efficient and unsentimental. She laid out the legal options, the financial implications, the potential for a messy divorce. We need to gather evidence, she said, her voice brisk. Text messages, emails, anything that proves the affair. The thought of digging through Sarah's digital life made me feel sick. I told MS Davies to handle it. I didn't want to see any more. Work was a refuge, a distraction. I threw myself into the library project, losing myself in the blueprints and the structural calculations. My colleagues were sympathetic, but they didn't know what to say. Awkward silences filled the office. I could feel their pitying glances. One afternoon, I ran into David at a coffee shop near Sarah's school. He was buying a latte, his face drawn and tired. I almost turned around and walked out, but something stopped me. Maybe it was anger, maybe it was a morbid curiosity. David, I said, my voice tight. He jumped, startled. He looked at me, his eyes filled with guilt and something else, fear. Liam, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. I don't know what to say. Say you're sorry, I said, my fists clenching. Say you regret destroying my life. He mumbled something about a mistake, about feelings he couldn't control. I didn't want to hear it. I wanted to punch him, to scream at him, to make him feel the pain I was feeling. I just walked away. The first therapy session was excruciating. Dr. Sharma was kind and patient, but I couldn't bring myself to open up. I sat there, stiff and uncomfortable, answering her questions with monosyllabic grunts. It's okay to feel angry, Liam, she said gently. It's okay to feel lost. I didn't feel okay. I felt like a failure, like I had wasted 5 years of my life on a lie. I don't know how to fix this, I said finally, my voice cracking. You don't have to fix it all at once, she said. Just focus on taking small steps, one day at a time. Sarah called a few weeks later. I almost didn't answer. Liam, she said, her voice hesitant. Can we talk? We met at a neutral location, a park near our old house. She looked tired, her eyes red and swollen. I wanted to apologize, she said, her voice trembling, for everything. I know I hurt you terribly. I didn't say anything. I just looked at her, trying to reconcile the woman in front of me with the woman I had loved. Why? I asked finally. Why did you do it? She told me about feeling neglected, about feeling like we were drifting apart, about wanting something more, something different. It wasn't an excuse, it was an explanation. I still didn't understand. I don't think I can forgive you, I said, my voice flat. I don't expect you to, she said, tears streaming down her face. But I hope someday you can understand. The divorce proceedings dragged on for months. Lawyers argued, documents were filed, accusations were made. It was a soul-crushing process. I started drinking more, isolating myself from Mark and Chloe, skipping therapy appointments. I was spiraling. One night I got drunk and drove to Sarah's house. I didn't know what I was going to do, scream at her, beg her to come back. I don't remember much, just the flashing lights of the police car and the searing pain in my head. I woke up in a hospital bed, my head throbbing. Mark and Chloe were there, their faces etched with worry. What happened? I mumbled. You crashed your car, Mark said, his voice grim. You're lucky to be alive. Chloe started crying. You scared us to death, she sobbed. We thought we were going to lose you. That was the wake-up call I needed. I had hit rock bottom. I was destroying myself. I went back to therapy. I started attending AA meetings. I reconnected with Mark and Chloe. I started taking care of myself. It wasn't easy. There were relapses, setbacks, days when I wanted to give up. But I kept going. Slowly, gradually, I started to heal. I started running again. I found solace in the rhythm of my feet hitting the pavement, the burn in my lungs. I took a pottery class, rediscovering a creative outlet I had abandoned years ago. I spent more time with Mark and Chloe, laughing, talking, just being. I started to see the world in color again. The divorce was finalized. I signed the papers, feeling a strange mixture of relief and sadness. It was over. Officially, I visited the site of the library project, a place I had avoided since the affair. The building was nearing completion, a testament to my skill and dedication. I walked through the halls, imagining the children who would one day fill these spaces, their minds open to the world of knowledge. I thought about Sarah, about the life we had planned together. It was gone, irretrievably lost, but I was still here. Broken, yes, but also stronger, more resilient. I looked out at the city skyline, the sun setting in a blaze of glory. It was a new beginning, a chance to rebuild. I didn't know what the future held. I didn't know if I would ever love again. But I knew one thing: I was going to be okay. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but someday.